The flames lit up the night sky like a beacon of rage. Neighbors watched in horror as a once-beloved family home crumbled into ash. But this was no accident, no tragic twist of fate. This was revenge. And the man behind the blaze wasn't a stranger, wasn't an enemy. He was her own son. Hours earlier, he had hugged his mother, called her mom, with that familiar warmth. By midnight, he was standing in her yard, watching her life's memories burn, knowing exactly why he'd done it. The spark wasn't gasoline, it was betrayal. Marcus Taylor, 34, was the kind of man people described as loyal to a fault. Born in a small Georgia town, raised by a single mother, Patricia, he had always been a protector. Patricia worked 2 jobs to keep food on the table, waitress by day, cleaning offices by night, and Marcus never forgot the sacrifices she made. To the outside world, their bond seemed unshakable. Patricia was his confidant, his cheerleader, the one person who had seen him at his lowest and loved him anyway. When Marcus met Elena Carter at a friend's barbecue in 2018, Patricia welcomed her into the family without hesitation. Elena was charming, ambitious, and seemed to adore Marcus. Within a year, they were planning a wedding. Patricia, excited for her son's future, began setting aside money, a tradition in her family, to give him a significant wedding gift. She saved for over 2 years, tucking away every extra dollar she could. By the time the wedding arrived, she had $15,000 in cash, neatly wrapped in an envelope, hidden in her bedroom drawer. She wanted it to be a surprise, the kind of gesture a mother dreams about. Marcus and Elena's wedding was small but joyful. Patricia handed over the gift on their honeymoon, tears in her eyes as she told him, "This is to start your life together." But less than a year into the marriage, cracks began to show. Elena's late nights at work turned into whispered phone calls. Her weekend trips with friends often ended in arguments. Then came the moment that shattered Marcus. A text message meant for someone else popped up on her phone while she was in the shower. It read, "I can't wait for you to leave him so we can finally be together." The sender was a man Marcus had never heard of. The confrontation that night was ugly. Elena admitted she had been seeing someone else for months, and in a final blow, she told him she had never really loved him, only the stability he provided. The divorce was swift, bitter, and humiliating. Patricia stood by her son, furious at Elena for what she had done. She even told friends she hoped to never see that woman again. Fast forward 2 years. Marcus was in a much better place, or so it seemed. He had a new job, was slowly dating again, and had even started to rebuild his trust in people. His relationship with Patricia remained close. Then came a phone call. It was a distant cousin, someone Marcus barely spoke to, who said, "I just saw your mom and Elena at the mall. They were having lunch together." Marcus laughed at first. It sounded ridiculous. His mom hated Elena, but curiosity gnawed at him. He asked his mother about it that night. Patricia hesitated, then admitted the truth. "Yes, I saw her. She needed help and I helped her." What Marcus didn't know, what would light the fuse of rage, was how Patricia had helped her. 2 days later, while visiting his mom's house to fix a leaky faucet, Marcus found an envelope in her desk. It was labeled, "Elena, house payment." Inside was a deposit receipt for $15,000. It was the exact amount his mother had gifted him for his marriage. The same money he returned to her after the divorce, telling her, "Keep it safe, I don't need it right now." Patricia had given it to Elena. When Marcus confronted her, Patricia's explanation was simple. She came to me in tears, said she was going to lose her home. She reminded me of myself when I was struggling. I couldn't let her end up on the street. Marcus stared at her in disbelief. "She destroyed my marriage. She humiliated me, and you gave her the money meant for me." The conversation spiraled into shouting. Patricia tried to calm him, insisting that money wasn't worth losing family over. But to Marcus, it wasn't about the money, it was about betrayal. For the first time in his life, he left his mother's house without saying, "I love you." The next few weeks were tense. Marcus avoided calls, ignored her texts, and stewed in silence. He replayed the betrayal over and over until it became a knot of rage in his chest. On a warm August evening, Marcus drove past his mother's house. The lights were off, She was visiting her sister out of town. He parked across the street and sat in the dark for nearly an hour. Witnesses would later recall seeing him pacing, smoking one cigarette after another. Finally, he got out of the car, walked the side of the house, and poured gasoline along the walls. The smell clung to the humid air. He struck a match, watched it flicker, and dropped it. The fire roared to life instantly. Flames crawled up the siding, devouring wood and memories. Photographs, furniture, heirlooms, all gone within minutes. Marcus stood there until the heat forced him back. A neighbor called 911, but by the time firefighters arrived, the house was a lost cause. Patricia returned the next morning to find nothing but blackened ruins. The shock was overwhelming, but when detectives began their investigation, suspicion quickly turned to Marcus. Neighbors reported seeing his car. Gasoline residue was found on the driveway, and then came the surveillance footage. A grainy clip from a nearby store showing Marcus buying 2 gas cans just hours before the fire. When confronted, Marcus didn't deny it. She picked her over me. She gave my future to the woman who took everything from me. That house was never my home after that. Patricia was heartbroken. She refused to testify against her son, but the evidence was damning. Marcus was charged with arson in the first degree and sentenced to 12 years in state prison. In prison interviews, Marcus has expressed little remorse for the fire itself, but deep regret for the irreparable damage to his relationship with his mother. I wish I'd just walked away. But in that moment, it felt like the only way to make her feel what I felt. Patricia, now living in a small apartment, visits him once a month. Their conversations are brief, polite, but never the same as before. Sometimes betrayal isn't about strangers, enemies, or thieves. Sometimes it comes from the one person you thought would always be in your corner. And when that bond shatters, the fire it ignites can burn more than just a house.